My name is JS and welcome back to my channel. If you're not new here, then you know I haven't really uploaded anything like this video before. And not just because of what this video is about. I said this year that I was going to start taking my YouTube channel seriously, and one thing I've always wanted to do with it is some commentary and storytime videos from time to time. The ones I have planned out for the future are pretty much me yapping about my OCs and the many stories I have for them, but today's video is about other people's OCs. And if you clicked on this video, you probably saw the title and the thumbnail, so you know exactly what kind of OCs these are. That's right, today we're diving into my summer journey into becoming a furry artist. And it was quite the adventure, so grab a snack, whip out that drawing pad that I know you have, and get comfy while we chat about how I went from being intimidated by drawing furries to actually embracing it as a new challenge in my art journey. And it's actually all because of Artfight. Yeah, you heard me correctly. I'm blaming Artfight 2024 for officially turning me into a furry artist. For those of you who don't know, Artfight is this huge online event where artists draw each other's characters as part of this friendly battle. At least that's what it's supposed to be, but I'm not here to talk about the drama that went on in this year's challenge. You'll have to check out someone else's video for that. I've been a part of Artfight for a while, since like 2018, and despite any recent drama, it's always been such a great way for me to connect with other artists and push myself. But when I first started, I noticed almost immediately that quite a large part of artists there have furry OCs, and for a while, like many other artists out there, I just completely avoided them. I just didn't feel confident in my ability to draw them, and that always left me feeling a little bad when someone would attack me with this amazing piece of one of my OCs, and I didn't feel like I could attack back in a way that did the character justice. I still had a lot of fun finding OCs that I was confident drawing, but I definitely felt very limited, scrolling through like so many pages to try to find someone who didn't have furry OCs. For the longest time, I also said it was because I just couldn't really get the hang of drawing animal features in general, and so an elaborate combination of human, animal, or other hybrid characters left me drawing a literal blank. That is, until I got super into drawing dragons. And guys, when I say that I was into it, I mean it. I can't even begin to count how many sketchbooks are full of dragons as my warm-ups. And most of the dragons I draw are my own characters. I've even made up a water-based dragon species just so I could draw this really cool scene for my characters. I just think they're so cool. I have books on different mythical creatures, and I spent 1 year while I was in grad school just combining those other mythical creature features into dragons. I don't even know how it started. Like, it really just came out of nowhere, but suddenly I was constantly drawing dragons. And the funniest thing is that I did this for several years, and I would even have on my commission sheets during that time that I couldn't draw animals or furries with the sole exception of dragons. And one day I realized that I hadn't really eased into it either. One day I just woke up and decided I wanted to draw dragons, and so I just did. And I don't remember having to work myself up to it or telling myself my first one was icky or whatever. It was just a thing. So fast forward to this year, and I decided enough was enough, and it was starting to get a little ridiculous. I wasn't going to fall into the trap of feeling like my art skills weren't good enough for this. If I could draw freaking dragons, everything else animal related should actually be so easy. At least that's what I thought. For some reason, you ask me to draw a dragon and I can immediately think of how I need to start my sketch guidelines and how their bodies would look. But I was trying to draw my first furry, and yet again, I was drawing a blank. I was so frustrated with myself, but I was determined not to give up. 2024 was going to be the year that I learned how to be a furry artist. And not to spoil it, but
I don't know how to play bass. Token, how many times do we have to go through this? You're black, you can play bass. I'm getting sick of your stereotypes. Be as sick as you want, just give me a goddamn bass line.
if you made it this far into the video, first of all, thank you. Here's a secret little passcode for you to respond to so I can give you all of my undying love in the comments. What's one piece of advice you would give to someone who feels not good enough to try something new in their art journey? I'll tell you mine because it's exactly what I did to make things easier for me here. I found videos to draw alongside and wasn't afraid to put the term for beginners after my search phrase. I tend to do a lot of research when I learn something new, but when it comes to art, there's something about just following along with someone else as they draw the thing that I'm trying to draw that really helps me feel more confident about it. So that's where we are now. The speed paint you're seeing right now is actually my very first ever attempt at drawing a furry. I was like a week out from Artfight 2024 and all of my character rests were done, but I really wanted to get at least one practice drawing in before I tried drawing anyone's characters. And I was really proud of this one. By the time I finished, someone had already attacked me, so my second ever drawing was officially my start of Artfight 2024. Now, as I went along, I did eventually have to start doing some actual research when it came to studying face shapes. This was always my greatest struggle when it came to humanoid characters, and it made sense that it was only going to rear its ugly head again for me during this new thing. Oddly enough, the characters I thought I struggled the most with were the hybrid characters, the ones that looked mostly human. Some of them I had to go back and change because I thought they were supposed to be one type of animal, and then the person reached out and was like, actually, they're pretty much human with these features, and I was like, oops, and had to go back. And each time I feel like I struggled with trying to reshape the face after that. Eventually, I started to gain a lot of confidence. That's that funny thing about practicing as an artist, you know? And I started to not wait to be attacked by someone with a furry OC and actually ventured out to find random people with OCs that I wanted to draw. And honestly, the whole thing wasn't half as scary as I thought it was going to be. Don't get me wrong, it was still scary, but the more I drew, the more comfortable I felt, which means the more complex the characters that I took on became, and so on, you know the drill. And eventually, Artfight ended. I did a total of like 14 drawings on there, including some that were more in my usual warehouse that aren't obviously here in this video. But after Artfight was over, I was still itching to keep practicing. And so I started my first ever giveaway on Twitter, which I'm actually kind of iffy about being on right now. I am testing things out on Blue Sky, but at the time it was the best place for me to host a completely free art giveaway. I wasn't sure if anyone was even going to take me up on this. I join art giveaways all the time and I've been pretty unlucky for most of them. I'm still gonna keep joining though, and I still follow the artists that I find through that, so always a good time. I said in the giveaway that I would commit to a colored sketch of any furry character they had, so long as it already had a colored reference, and I would decide based on energy and time whether I would do a bust, half body, or full body. Almost immediately, I had quite a few people enter the giveaway, and each of them had vastly different furry OCs, which was great and exactly what I asked for. I still struggled a lot with the more humanoid looking ones, which is just so interesting to me because you think that one would be the easier one. I thought my biggest struggle would be like the full-on anthros, and maybe it will be. No one actually had any for me to try during either Artfight or the giveaway, so who knows. But for now, we are going to hope that we can keep working on finding that balance between human and animal for those that are a little more of a human hybrid. Eventually, while I was turning these back over to people in batches, one of the requesters came back and asked if I was on VGen. I wasn't at the time. I didn't know you needed to have a code or enter their little giveaway thingy, but it brought up an interesting end goal for me that I hadn't really considered when I first started this. After a summer of practice, I had to really question if I felt ready to put furries on my list of things I can or will draw on my commissions. For some reason, this was even scarier than drawing my first furry. Part of it was that I still had some lingering feelings of not being good enough yet to put my furry art up on a paywall. Requests and gifted art through Artfight was totally fine to me, but asking someone to pay my usual commission prices for it made me feel a little hesitant at first. Ultimately, I made this bet with myself that I would try to get a code within a week's time with only the art that I had spent the summer drawing. And if I could do that, then I would stop doubting myself and officially put furries on my can-do list for commissions. And, well, so you see, I had to, really. True to my word, I worked on putting my examples up on my commission sheet, but it brought up a different question for me. Did this now officially make me a furry artist? It's a label that I used to think was much more black and white. Like, to be a furry artist, you have to also be a furry. And I think that makes a lot of sense, but even before I took up this challenge, I had come across plenty of other artists who draw furries, but aren't furries. And I feel like I'm in that latter category. I don't currently have what I consider to be a strong enough interest in humanoid animals to call myself a furry. I thought so many of the characters that I got to draw were so cute. They were so adorable, you guys. And some of them did have a vibe about them where I was like, ooh, okay. But the interest kind of stops there for me. I am part of a lot of fantasy-based fandoms that have humanoid animal races and characters and things like that. And I'm very excited to be able to engage with the media that I so love in a new way because I can draw the rest of the cast now. But that's just kind of it for now. I like the characters I get to draw, and maybe one day someone or something will convince me to make a persona, but for now, I don't have that burning urge to make an OC for this. For now, I'm happy to say that I have figured this part out because it was either going to be furries or backgrounds last year, and well, guess we know what I'll be making more videos on about learning this year. That is also something I've been pushing off because it feels so scary. This whole thing leads me to something important that I think a lot of artists can relate to: the fear of not being good enough. Clearly, I've not only been there, but am still there for a few things. I've done some art challenges in the past to help me grow, but this definitely feels so different. It's funny now to think that I had this actual fear of trying to draw furries. What in the world? And of course, now I'm thinking about how that fear literally held me back for so long when it came to drawing furries. And I'd warn a guess that it's probably holding some of you back from exploring something you're curious about too. Whether it's furries, dragons, backgrounds, or something else entirely, that voice telling you you're not ready or you're not good enough yet might always be there, even after you get to a point where you feel confident in it. But in my experience, the only way to get good enough, and I'm using that term lightly here, is just to try it. You don't have to suddenly become a furry artist like I did, but maybe there's something you've been wanting to experiment with. A new style, character expressions, backgrounds like me, and you've just been too nervous to take that first step. The good news is that art is pretty easy when it comes to that. Sure, we all love the validation that comes from posting something and having someone like it, but sometimes art can be just for you. Like I said, I have tons of sketchbooks full of warm-up drawings, and contrary to how I made it sound before, they're not all dragons, no. But like I said earlier, maybe it'll help to have someone else drawing them alongside you, like a buddy system. So this is me saying, let's learn together. I have a few styles and skills that I want to learn this year, but I'm curious to know what you guys are trying to learn. Maybe we'll end up getting a fun video out of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, and I hope you'll consider subscribing so that we can see more of each other in the future. In addition to doing more of these art story time and commentary videos, I also post animatics and lots of cozy gaming playthroughs. If you're interested in seeing me in other places, check out more of my videos here or find me on some of my other sites here. If you have a furry OC and want to commission me or just want some fan art, be sure to check out the links below. Comms are currently open and I am working on trying to get verified on VGen right now, but all status updates will be posted there if you want to follow and know when I drop new packages or reopen something that's already closed. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment with that secret thing we talked about earlier. Until next time, keep creating, keep challenging yourself, and I'll see you next time in our next creative adventure. Bye!